Hello friends, my name is Joanna and this is Beloved Fortuna, a place for tarot, art, mysticism, and probably my cats because I cannot shut up about them. Today I wanted to talk to you about one of the most hated cards of the tarot, tell you why I think it's good actually, and give you some pop culture examples so that you can start to shift your perspective on it. And what is that card, you may ask? It's not the Tower, it's not the Hierophant. It is, in honor of Aries season, the Emperor. I am sure I'm not the only one who has noticed that nobody likes the Emperor. I think a lot of people tend to prefer his female counterpart, the Empress, and I can totally get why. We often hear that the Emperor is the patriarch of the tarot, and because we're smart people, we connect patriarch with patriarchy, and no one likes the patriarchy. I hope. At least I hope that the people who are watching don't like the patriarchy. This is a patriarchy hate account. But the fact remains that patriarch simply means the male ruler of the family. And that's a pretty neutral definition. So I thought I could go over what the Emperor is, what are some of the symbols that are present in the card, and then I will give you those fabulous examples that I found that will make you change your mind about the Emperor. He is often labeled the dad of the tarot, and with good reason. He holds the power of what we call the active principle or the masculine principle. He is an authoritative leader, a rationalist, an idealist who is focused on creating on the outside world. He's focused on creating something that is external to himself. Whereas, for example, the Empress is much more focused on creating things that relate to her inner world. He is ruled by Mars, the planet of war and action, but he's also associated with Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, promising spring renewal. He is the warrior king, a protector and leader. Now, let's look at some of the symbolism of the card. Some of this is sort of agreed upon, some of this is my personal take on the symbolism of the card. When we're talking about symbols, it's always a bit murky because they are so universal and so personal at the same time. So, if you don't agree with me, that's totally fine. You can find your own associations with the symbols. If you look at the card, you will find a lot of straight lines. Even his beard is sort of rectangular. This can symbolize focused direction, for example. You may also notice the predominant color of this card is red, symbolizing the element of fire, which is the element traditionally associated with the card. However, he is also sat in what looks like a stone chair, reminiscent of the earth element, meaning that his passion is grounded by his very logical approach to the world. On the back of the image, we see imposing mountains. They're solid and long-lasting, just like the kingdom he is trying to create. The number of the card is the number 4, the number of structure and containment. He comes after the Empress so that he can create a structure where her creative, intuitive power can actually take shape and become something long-lasting. So, as you can see, these are pretty positive qualities. At least to me. Maybe it's my Capricorn rising sensibilities, but I do really like the Emperor card. I really feel like it's when these qualities are taken to the extreme, when the Emperor is reversed and we are faced with his shadow, that he can become this sort of unbending ruler, dictator type figure, which is true would be a more accurate description of a ruler within the patriarchy. But when he's upright, we can see qualities that we all benefit from. He is not better or worse than the Empress, they both have important qualities that we need in balance. Now, as promised, on to the pop culture examples. Number 1, Monica Geller. I wanted to begin with a female character as an example because a lot of the times we look at the card, we see a masculine presenting figure, and we automatically assume that it has to be a dude. Like, the Emperor is a man, full stop. And that's not true, and I think it can be very limiting when we're reading the cards. And so I wanted to broaden our perspectives a little bit and begin with the one, the only, Monica Geller. I am a very, very basic white girl, and I love Friends. I have seen it way too many times. And I can tell you that there is no better example than Monica Geller as the Emperor. And you can kind of also see her switching into her shadow side a little bit in some episodes, but I do think that generally she is a very, very good example of upright Emperor. She is the most driven and passionate of the friend group while also being the most down to earth. It's my cat. He is bunny kicking. He is his scratcher. So we're gonna just let him do that for a bit. Her apartment, or her kingdom, if you will, is one of the places where we spend the most time during the show. It is where relationships begin and end, where storylines take dramatic turns. It is the container of the experience of the friend group. She is the character that is most in control of her life during the entirety of the show, I think. And at times she is even in control of other people's lives. There's this episode where Rachel decides to abdicate her free will and give it to Monica, and like Monica makes all of the decisions for her now. And she accepts it, which is a very Emperor thing to do, and a very Aries thing to do. I have an Aries at home, I know what I'm talking about. Number 2, Mufasa. This one is a more classical example, but I don't think we can talk about the Emperor in pop culture without mentioning Mufasa. He is the perfect example of the just king, and because it is the Lion King and it is Disney, we actually have a great example of Emperor reversed within the same movie, and that is his brother, Scar. In a very Emperor move, Mufasa continues to protect his kingdom even after his death. I'm talking about like the scenes where he appears like as a spirit in the clouds. That's a very Emperor move. And there's this one particular scene that I really appreciate in the movie, and that I think again is something that a good Emperor would say, is that the lions are not more important than the gazelles, because the lions need the gazelles to survive. Do you want a better example of the Emperor than Mufasa? I can't give you one. Number 3. Captain Raymond Holt. We will end our video with the robot dad himself, Captain Raymond Holt. Once again, we are in his kingdom for the vast majority of the show. His kingdom being the 99th precinct. Precinct? That is a very hard word to say. In a very Emperor way, we see him push all of the people around him to be better, to do better all of the time. And by doing that, he ends up also sort of bettering himself in many ways. While he is a very stoic character, we do see how much he cares for people in the show, how much he loves his community, his dog, his partner, the people that work with him. I think his story arc is one of the most interesting in the show because he changes so much while also remaining incredibly true to himself. He never wants to change the parts of himself that make him a good leader. He just changes the parts that don't, and that is a very Emperor thing to do. So there you have it. Those are my pop culture examples of the Emperor. I hope they helped you, and I hope that if you don't like the Emperor, that maybe after this video you will at least look at him with a little bit more kindness and a little bit more of an open heart. Let me know in the comments below, what characters do you personally associate with the Emperor? The good guys, the bad guys, the meh guys, whatever. Just let me know in the comments below. I'm so curious to see what other people think. And until next time, salut!